We don't need them anymore.
We don't need them.
All right, so we're going to interview Andy here. Very grateful to have him join us and talk for about 20, 30 minutes just about his founding story of the company Daily Burn. I hope you all have downloaded the Daily Burn app in advance of this, and then we'll do Q&A afterwards. So think of some good questions.
Free 30-day trial. Free 30dailyburn.com. Free 30-day trial.
All right, free 30-day trial. All right, so let's kick it off with the very beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I moved to Huntsville when I was 7, so I basically grew up here. Went to school here at Westminster, so we were rivals to Randolph. It's kind of painful to be here. But you guys always beat us in sports, so you win. I'm here. So I grew up here, went to Mississippi State, studied Hail State.
Hail State.
What the hell, Miss? I think we like hating Ole Miss more than liking State. Went to Mississippi State to do computer science, and really got into computer security. So I ended up going to Purdue to study computer science and computer security, and had our first baby, moved back to Huntsville, and kind of started my career in the government contracting space.
How old were you when you, so you started a company doing defense contracting. Was that your first foray into that world, or did you work for someone else?
So when I came back, I worked for a large government contractor, and I try to be polite about how I talk about things, but I basically, I think I've seen this experience a lot of young people here. There's a comfortableness and a cushiness sometimes to that world, and that's what I experienced. And so as a young guy, driven, I want to do big things. I come to work. It's time to go. Let's do something really interesting. I felt a little bit stifled and decided to start my own company after 6 months, which was tough. I mean, we had a young baby in debt. I had to pay back my moving expenses that they had paid to move me down here. But ultimately, you got to go after it. I think it's in my blood.
So how old were you when you started and what was your defense company called?
So this is a terrible name. It was, government contracts like to use like the acronym. ISAC, Inc. It's terrible. Information Security and Assurance Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
And you were helping things?
I was, what was I? I was probably, look at my website, 24.
Okay. So started ISAC at age 24, and how long did you work there or do that?
I did that for about 3 years. We grew that business. We had about 15 people. We're in the SBIR business. A lot of SBIR companies around here, small business innovative research grants. And so we went through a couple of cycles of I don't want to get into too much details, but you get a phase 1, which is $100,000 to do technology research. And then if you do really good and you show the government and the customer that it's a good idea, you can get a $750,000 grant. And so to actually build it out. And so I quit my job at the large government contractor, and I basically went 6-9 months writing proposals. We wrote 12 proposals, and we won 2. So we won 2 at $100,000. We ended up turning both those into phase 2s. The next round came around, we won 4 phase 1s, turned all 4 of those into phase 2s. And so we started kind of building that business. We had 15 people working on network security products for missile defense.
Where were you based? Where was your office?
Here, we were, our office is downtown Huntsville. There's a bank there.
Okay. And so at some point you stopped doing that, so describe that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people feel the same way, but like when you work on something, you want it to matter, right? You want people to use it, especially in software. You want no matter what you do, it's really draining to work on something and not ever have it see the light of day. And so, there was some brokenness, I feel like, in the system. And a lot of the stuff we're working on, slaving away at, hour after hour, day after day, was never going to make it into the system it was trying to protect. And so you just kind of feel empty. it's just not a rewarding situation. Stephen, who is now my brother-in-law, was working for me at ISAC, one of my best programmer, and just like really got along well together. We decided we got to do something. We got to do something that touches people. We want to do something in the consumer internet. This was 2007, so it's kind of a, Ruby on Rails was just starting. This was like we wanted to like just do really cool Web 2.0 kind of thing. We had a couple of ideas. One was a social network for books, and we don't really read, so that was really crossed out. Then we had some really geeky source control idea that went up, and we settled on what was called Gyminee at the time. It was really the social network for people working out at the gym, and everybody was trying to build the Facebook for this at this time. If you remember, there's so many value-add social networks. So we thought there's not a really good site to track your sets and reps in the gym, and we could build a social network around it. So we just went after it.
So you're working at ISAC and you shutter ISAC, or you're still working at ISAC and you guys start working on
I can't do two things. I mean, when you get the passion for it, for me, you got to be all in. And so I had to be in a place where I was doing that. Because I got to be a family man, and then I got to work, and so I can't also do that second thing. A lot of other people do it, right? There's plenty of people that have had success going at night, doing the second job. I know this guy, but for me, I got to be all in. So I left that company. I still own shares if anybody would like to buy. It's probably pretty cheap. Let them go. But yeah, so it basically just went all in on this.
So you and Stephen became co-founders of Gyminee. And did you work from home? Did you have an office?
BizTech, product of BizTech. So what we wanted to do is we were confident in our skills and what we're doing, but we needed to be surrounded by mentors. And we actually applied the very first year. There's an incubator called TechStars. There's a couple of these big incubators, TechStars, Y Combinator. This is the first year at TechStars. We applied to that organization, and they said, I like your idea, it's really good. It had some flaws. We actually wanted to build these kiosks in gyms at the time. Terrible idea looking back. But they said, we like it, but we're really looking for people that are doing it. We don't want the entrepreneur. We want someone who's actually got something on the line. So all right, and we quit our jobs, and we didn't get in. And we went after it. We went to BizTech here in Huntsville, and actually, eventually, when we applied to TechStars the next year, we got in because these guys, we saw them a year ago. Now we see they got actual revenue they're really going for, and then that was kind of the jump.
So you applied to TechStars. You were working in BizTech. Who was in BizTech at the time? That's here in the audience now. Was it Gary or Dick?
Dick was. Yeah.
Okay, and so Dick was running BizTech. He joined BizTech, and you were a client company there. Did they provide funding?
So we had space to work. That was great. But I think the biggest thing is access to Huntsville Angel Network and exposure and introduction to people that could help us in the business.
Okay.
So we presented to the Han. We got a term sheet, which I didn't think was good enough, and it wasn't. And ended up going to TechStars, and then when we came back, we went back into BizTech, with a lot more connections, and kind of continued to use the Huntsville Angel Network.
So you applied to TechStars, you got rejected.
Yep.
They said we want to see more substance, and then you were in BizTech for how long before TechStars round 2?
So maybe 9 months or so.
Okay, so you applied again, and this time, what did you go to them with as far as that substance?
We had paying users. I mean, for that time, even in TechStars, that was an accomplishment. So we had to show you.
So you went from having an idea for Gyminee, this fitness social network, and then by 9 months later, when you went into TechStars, you had paying users and therefore a built product.
That's right.
And was the product at that 9 month point what you had imagined it being 9 months prior?
I mean, I think that's and even going today, like I never thought we'd be doing what we're doing now back then. Like we started to do this kiosk business to track your, get your workout and track it. When we first launched, we had track your exercise, and we had this gym buddies. I mean, it's a bad name. Is it gym buddies that you could interact with? But quickly people wanted nutrition tracking, and that was the kind of thing that really started taking off. So people, we became a really easy way to track your calories, and if you really wanted to go deep, fat, protein, carbs, all that stuff.
Okay, so you apply the TechStars and you get in. And just tell folks a little bit about TechStars. You went to TechStars Boulder, which is TechStars #1. And so what was that process like?
I mean, that was, just shows you the power of mentors and networking. I mean, it was really accelerated networking in a very concise group. It was a very aggressive group of like working really, really hard. You have 10 teams surrounding you that are also in your same, you're not competitive with them. You kind of are because you're raising from the same pool of money, but at the same time you're cooperating and you still have friends from that experience. But really for me it was access to people that I really would add our time meeting from here. So an example of that was I remember talking about CrossFit and working out with Dick Costolo, who became the CEO of Twitter. And one of the people that we met and was actually ended up being an investor was Matt Mullenweg, the founder of WordPress, which is the biggest blogging software on the internet. So these kind of connections were invaluable.
So TechStars was a place in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
They had an office. They're this broader business of mentors and investors. And did you go there? Did you pay them? Did they pay you? Like, describe the model.
Their model's changed a lot. I mean, you got $6,000 or something like this, and they took a 5 or 6% common share equity. Their idea was to align themselves with the actual founders. So if you were to take funding afterwards, they would always be kind of aligned with you in those negotiations. 6% is nothing when you look at the value. 6% of nothing is nothing, right? So when you start, you get more than that value in our group. That's the model, and then it culminates with a pitch, investor pitch, where auditorium similar to this, maybe twice the size, full of angel investors, VCs, where you can tell, do your 10-minute pitch. There's a lot of coaching on your pitch as well. So.
Yeah. So TechStars was an incubator. They took some equity in exchange for giving you some cash. They gave you some mentorship. They pushed you up against these other cohorts, of startups that were working on building their products as fast as you were building your products. And how long were you in TechStars?
3 months.
3 months. And was it just, lightning fast, pedal to the metal all day, every day?
It was nonstop. I moved my family out there. My wife was here tonight, and we took our 2 kids at the time. They had a mini vacation. Boulder is a beautiful place, but I didn't get to see them that much. Honestly, it was really a lot of work. Yeah. But his work is fun. I think work is fun, right? So like if you're doing what you love, it's fun.
So it was just you and Stephen. And when did you got a third person while you were there, right?
We did. We had a chief marketing officer that came.
Okay, so you got 3 people, you're in TechStars, and you leave TechStars and come back to Huntsville. At this point, you had raised some cash.
Had not really raised money at that point, so we had taken a friends and family ground before we went to Boulder. When we came back, we still had interested investors from Huntsville Angel Network, but we also had more investors from outside the TechStars network. So, we pulled together this round in December 2008, which, if you remember, was a really hard time to raise money. I mean, it was an accomplishment just to raise money. So we raised $500K. We had Founders Fund, which is PayPal Mafia guys, Dave McClure, Matt Mullenweg, Tim Ferriss, who's the 4-Hour Work Week. You probably read his book, and Garrett Camp, the founder of Uber. And a lot of these guys, and so coming along, and some Boulder money, and then coming alongside the Huntsville Angels Network really helped lead it and kind of finish out the round.
So you met those guys out in Colorado, and they were tied into the TechStars program.
Right.
And then you got involved with Han back here in Huntsville. And when did you close your round?
December 2008. Yeah.
Okay, December 2008. And so you continue living in Huntsville despite loving the outdoorsiness of Boulder, and your wife enjoyed it also.
Yeah, Stephen actually stayed out in Denver. I came back, and having family ties here, house, and all the things that comes in Huntsville. We took an approach where we said we want the best programmers and we don't care where they live. And so this was not a lot of people were doing this back then. Matt Longwood, who is a big proponent of that model with WordPress and Automatic, but we hired. We got to 7 people, and we had Canada, California, upstate New York, and we just kind of distributed a team. We had PlayStation 3s hooked up in our office with cameras, and so the video was always on so we could see each other kind of working, and then we would come on Skype, and then we just could talk to people. But so it felt fun.
Yeah. So fast forward to 2010, you're living in Huntsville late 2008 through 2009. And any big news from 2009 before 2010?
I mean, I think the news then would just be on the product innovation side. We were, a lot of people ask, like, how did you get your first users? When you're trying to build something like that. And our approach has always been to adopt the new technology really fast when they came out. So if you remember Facebook, when they came up with Facebook apps, this was before everybody was doing Farmville and spamming your Facebook account. We built an app called Thinner. Again, we're really bad at naming that. But it was to track your weight on Facebook. Who wants to track their weight on Facebook? I don't know, but we got like 1,000 people that way. Just emails, and we're just really hustling to get it. The other thing we did that was probably the most transformative on the tech side was when the iPhone came out. We got it the day one, and we built a web mobile version of this tracking thing, and that's when it really started taking off. We had, if you Google, like, we were the #1. If you did iPhone calorie tracking, everything, SEO top link for that, and that really kind of accelerated it.
Now at this point in time, you're still Gyminee. Okay, so what came first, IAC or Daily Burn?
Daily Burn. So, quick story here because I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
You might not agree, but so I was having dinner with Tim Ferriss, and we were broke. We were like the real true entrepreneur. We were broke, and we were at dinner, and like it's expensive dinner, probably a couple $100. And so we're at the end of dinner. He says,
"This is in Huntsville."
No, this is in San Francisco. Because I was out there in the meeting, and he said, "I tell you what, if you change your name, I'll pick up the tab." All right, that's fine. I didn't really like the name Gyminee. It was Gyminee. Nobody could spell that. It was Gymboree. Like it was. Our competitor at the time was Trainio, so I guess we thought that was a good idea. If you don't have any money and you have to get a domain, it's hard.
Right.
So anyways, okay, yeah, we'll change the name. And he invested. Garrett Camp, the Uber guy, he also invested on that premise. Like, this name is terrible. You have to change your name. So we raised the money, and it's probably maybe, that's December, it's probably February, March. And I get this email from Gary. He's like, when are you going to change the name? And I was like, well, I thought about it. We're not changing the name. We just really couldn't find a name that we liked. We really tried to find a domain, and he's like, I want the money back. I was like, oh, man. And so then what happened was if you think about this call, this is kind of power call for 2 days in a row. There was a conference call with Tim Ferriss, Matt, Dave McClure, and Garrett, trying to come up with names for this company. And Garrett wanted to name it Gym Trip, and I said I'll quit the company if it's called Gym Trip. Garrett and we don't get along anymore apparently, but we didn't have the cleanest break there, but he made money. It's fine. So anyways, we came with Daily Burn, and they're like, that is a great name. We're going to go after Daily Burn. The board authorized me to spend $25,000 on this domain, and we got it for $2,000. We used this little PR firm in the Northeast that didn't have any connections to do the negotiation. And that has really been a true thing. I mean, that is what we are now. I mean, we've actually grown into that name. You know, fast forward, we do a live daily show now every single day, and it really was a good thing.
That's cool. Kind of reminds me, the naming story reminds me of that moment in The Social Network when, I think it's Sean Parker is trying to convince Mark to drop the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, naming stuff.
I can't watch that show, it's too stressful. It's too real.
All right, so you're working with Matt and Garrett and Dave and Tim, and they help you change the name.
Yep.
That's 2009.
Yeah, it's 2009. I remember. Here's a lesson learned. We decided that we wanted to change the name with fanfare. We were going to announce our funding raise on TechCrunch and change the name at the same time. So if you look at the TechCrunch articles, Gyminee raises $500K and changes the name to Daily Burn. What I didn't think about doing is basically what we did was we just changed. We changed the UI, we changed the whole layout, we changed the name of the company. So users were on Gyminee one day, and they came the next day, just took Daily Burn. Like, who has my credit card? So words are wise. You need to let people know about this.
Yeah, good advice. Okay, so
you take away anything.
Right. That's actually very pertinent because we're working through some of that stuff right now. Yeah, so you change your name, you get an article in TechCrunch, which is cool. This is still kind of otherworldly stuff for the Huntsville entrepreneur. Even going to TechStars now is a known, very prestigious startup incubator. Only top startups get into TechStars. This was year one though, TechStars, so they were a little bit more lenient.
Year two, come on, man.
Okay, year two. And so you go to TechStars, you've got great connections with these high-level startup folks, and then 2010 comes. And at what point are you with the product or the users? How's the company growing? How many people do you have?
2010. We probably had 350,000 users. We had a freemium model. So our business model back then was you got a free account with your email, you track stuff, you want to track more stuff, you want to get really deep, you pay $10 to $12, I don't remember what it was. So we probably had 5,000-ish paying. Typically you convert in a freemium model like that, like 2.5%. So you gotta get big scale to make that a real business, but some probably about right.
And users were paying a subscription?
Monthly subscription to the advanced features, yeah, which, for example, if you wanted to track your fat, protein, and carbs, that was in the free, but you wanted to track fiber and sodium and all this stuff. And you gotta remember this was before MyFitnessPal and some of these other iPhone apps where, everything became free, and the freemium model was harder, but. Yeah.
What was the business model on day one, backtracking a couple of years, what were you selling?
It was always this freemium model. That was kind of the start. We had to stumble on what would be in that premium package and what people would pay for. But that was kind of always the path. And honestly, that was one of the hard things to convince a lot of Huntsville people. We had this conversation earlier, but that business model is so foreign. And it works. It works for a lot of people. You think of the Evernotes of the world, like the Dropboxes of it. But you have to hit big scale for that to be a really big business.
So you've got 350,000 users. You're moving and shaking. It's 2010, and you sell. And I don't want to jump too far into the story, but what happens?
Well, we had a get together in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, with board members and all that. This is when we had 7 people, so we could fly everybody together. And I remember, we just become profitable. You know what I mean? Paying ourselves nothing. But I remember talking to the board. We're like, I think let's just grow this like this. And there was this kind of moment when I realized, once you take angel money. You don't really have the luxury and option of just making this a family business anymore, right? A nice slow-growing business. You got to get the big exit. And I heard this, of course. You hear this when you're raising money, but it kind of sunk in. You need to go raise another round, and we're going to really go for this. You got traction. Let's really do it. And so I set off to raise $2.5 million. Sure. It's a lot of work to raise money, and I'm probably a 6-month process. We timed it right after January, which is our hot time. Everybody wants to get in shape in January. But it's one of these things where you start building momentum and you get a couple offers. We had a couple of term sheets. We had one from Bessemer, which was pretty good, I think, and some big name investors. And IEC came around, and IEC, the way this happened was pretty interesting, I think. So the chief product officer of a company called MindSpark inside of IEC was one of the people. When we were at TechStars, we printed 50 t-shirts and like hand packaged them and delivered them out to our super fans. And one of those guys was the chief product officer at MindSpark. And when Joey Levin, who is now the CEO of IEC, joined as CEO of MindSpark, who's doing some M&A, and Tim kind of brought that business to his attention. And so that was the best. I mean, that was the best T-shirt we ever made, right? That print T-shirts. That's another lesson. Print T-shirts, swag. But yeah, so when I was looking at the offers on the table, it made more sense to do IEC. So IEC took a majority stake in the business at a better valuation than we were getting for the VCs. I got to take some money off the table, but really the idea was this company is great at building internet businesses, and now with without VC route, I would have had to hire all these people, and I still had to hire them, but like that extra love and attention and specialty was what was most appealing. And so I stayed on as CEO. We've grown the business there. We have 50 people now. We own our own production company. So I've been doing that for 6 years. It's been great.
You, at the time, 2010, you're trying to raise VC cash, or you're trying to sell the business?
Trying to raise money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they just, they ended up putting in a lot and taking a big stake, so they became the majority owner.
Yeah.
And so, that happened in 2010. You're still living in Huntsville.
That's right.
Okay. Where were you actually living? Were you in Madison? Okay. And then when did you move to New York?
After the deal, I remember talking in negotiations, and they were like, "Oh, you can stay, you can do this wherever." And then after it closed, I said, I should have learned this lesson. I think I'm going to stay. And I was like, "No, I think you really need to move to New York." So I'm not good at picking up this signal, apparently. But yeah, we moved the business there, and in the IC headquarters business, and that's where we're based now. So I still running. I commute back and forth Tuesday to Thursday most weeks.
Okay. So tell us about New York life in brief. So what's it like having an office in New York? What's it like now having grown the company to 50 people? What are your customers like? What are your...
That's a very broad question.
Okay, we'll start with the first question.
No, New York is great. I mean, I think you just get exposed to a lot of driven young people that want to succeed, and I think it goes back to the roots of New York, money, and so there's a lot of people that want to be successful, and you got to really step up the game because a lot of people try to get to New York to do that. So it's a little bit more cutthroat than the Alabama. I remember being in the first board meeting I was with Barry Diller. Barry Diller is the chairman of IC. And I remember I was very nervous. We just got bought. And I'm going to do this presentation. I've never met him. And I remember, I don't even remember what I said. My first sentence cut me off and just started challenging me on this point. I don't know what I was trying to say. And it just that cult. I mean, they're super wicked smart, and they will. It's just a different vibe in here. I'm a Southern boy, and like whoa. And I remember at the end of that meeting, I think I'm gonna be fine. I think that's it. I was like, no, you did good. That's great. It's just how it is here. So it was a culture shock. I mean, New York's expensive. So when you're building a business there, engineers cost a lot. We still have a lot of engineers cost a lot. But you also are exposed to a lot of talent that is harder to find here, and we're trying to bring it here, right? But it's hard to find marketers and business development people in this kind of space. Media is big there too, so that's a great place to be. So we've really transitioned into a media business, and that kind of probably stems a lot from the New York connection.
And so, what does your product look like today? What are you doing today?
Yes, so we pivoted from that tracking business in 2011, and we we decided, and this kind of burns me up a little bit because it was us and My Fitness Pal. We were number one, they were number two, or vice versa, depending on the day. They got bought by Under Armour last year for $400 and some million. Don't make any money. They just had 60 million users, and so one thing that I learned, IAC's business model is to grow a profitable business, spin it out, and that's been very successful. They've created over $40 billion in market value that way. But when I took that path to go into IAC as opposed to going the VC route, I kind of not lost opportunity, but it was different. Like, we weren't just going to bleed cash as fast as we could and try to get as many users as we can and try to get the big exit. We're going to try to build actual revenue. We're going to build a business. And so when we looked at our tracker business, I think we had 20,000, 25,000 paying users, but we couldn't see a path where it was going to be a big business, and we needed to build a big business. And so we looked at what was out there. We had a good user base. We had 2.5, 3 million people at that time, and we decided to get into video. And there's P90X and all these Beachbody is a big competitor in the space, but they've made a lot of money on the at-home workout video. And we just looked at, okay, obviously the streaming is coming. Netflix is coming, right? And we thought that if we were really aggressive, we could win when fitness went to streaming. And so what we did was we set out to build the very, very best workout videos. We hired the guy who produced P90X. We shot like 15 or 20 different workout programs. We got on every single device. We were on Roku and Chromecast and PlayStation, Xbox, Samsung, all the devices. And then we learned how to market direct response at scale. So we do now. If you watch Hulu, then you probably know about us because we spam you really bad, especially in January. But so we kind of got the marketing machine going, and that's kind of our business now. We're the Netflix of workout videos. We have 130,000 paying subscribers now. We no longer have the video. We don't have a freemium model. It's pay to play, which seems to work better in the fitness industry. People pay on the impulse to get fit. A lot of people buy those workout DVDs don't even open them when they get to their house. So you got to kind of get them at the front end. So we're 30-day free trial credit card. And our biggest thing now that I think is innovative about us is we have a live show. It's called Daily Burn 365. And we have our own studio now in New York City, a full production crew, and we're live at 9 a.m. So tomorrow actually is our anniversary show. We've been going for 1 year, and it's really amazing. It's actually the original dream when we got into video, because we wanted to think about how we could use the internet to do something different. We didn't want to just be a DVD streaming, right? We wanted to do something really cool, and so the 365, you can have live chat, you can interact directly with the trainers, but what we've built is a community of people around the world who get together and do a workout. So there's this magic around this community of like-minded people doing this workout together, and everybody doing that one. So it's not everybody coming to Daily Burn and doing their own random thing. It's everybody coming together and doing that thing. We're very inclusive. We're very body positive. We're really targeting the beginner who has 30, 40 pounds to lose. We're not trying to get the CrossFit or P90X. We're trying to get someone who's probably uncomfortable to go to the gym. And so that's been kind of the transformative part of Daily Burn.
Great. So last few questions here. How's the overall business doing? I mean, you talked about how many users you have. For what you can share.
Good. We have competitors in the space now. We had a couple years where it was us, and now we knew they would come, and they've come, and so I think it's more competitive, but that's fun because then it drives innovation. That's why we started doing 365. We got a ton of really big partnerships that are coming down that I can't talk about, but really good. And the other thing is, we live and die on Q1. So we are a big TV advertiser, and we're all lining up for that next big push in January. So business is really good.
So what are some lessons learned that you maybe didn't share over the past 9, almost 10 years now?
I think I've learned a lot about hiring. I think as a young manager, it's sometimes you don't fire fast enough, you want to you want to be a good guy, right? So you don't want to just like be so cutthroat, but at the same time, I think one of the things that this is terrible, but one of the things you got to hire, hiring a great team, but like making the changes when it doesn't work out is super important, and I think a lot of people can fail. I mean, you got to think of it in terms of almost utilitarian in the sense of I'm trying to make money for the shareholders. I'm a corporate guy, but I'm trying to employ these people, and we're also trying to change the world. And so if you have the wrong people and you're too timid or to not make the change, you're endangering all of them. And so I think that I don't know if that's so great as an entrepreneur event, but like being willing to make the gutsy calls even when it's hard.
I think, the takeaway for me for that is, having the right team culture is really important. I think about that a lot in the startups I'm working on, having, really good rapport with your team and feeling like you're in the trenches together, so to say, is really valuable. And it's almost more valuable to have people that have that cultural fit than just the skill fit.
Yep.
The skill fit can be a prickly thing. So last question for you here is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in Huntsville, folks who maybe had your beginnings or have your beginnings for doing what you've done?
Yeah. Well, I thought a little bit about that in context of this event, and I think I really don't think if you want to do it, you don't have that much to lose. I mean, you do, but you don't. And in the way, I think a couple of things that I think my dad instilled in me as a kid. First of all, winning is fun. So one thing I don't like about youth sports is like this idea of like we all play for the fun of it, and if you don't keep score. Like no, winning is fun. So I think that is how you have fun in sport. Is by if you strike out every time, it's not very fun. But I think it's I don't know where I was going with that, but my advice is you should do it, and I know one of the reasons why I should be here is to help inspire people. But I mean, you don't have anything to lose, and I think you have. Oh, this is where I was going with that other point. You have to have a job that you love, or you're wasting your life. If you email me, my personal email is andy@unwastedlife.com. I feel like if you are doing a job just to pay the bills, it is no way to live your life. You spend a lot of time working. When you're not with your family and doing things that you like and hobbies, you spend a lot of time working. You gotta love it. And for me, and I think one way that you love your job is you control your destiny. And I know that is a very American thing to say. There's a lot of things that go into success. There's luck and there's timing, but there is the hard work. There is the drive to win. And I think if you're on it's easy for me to say looking back because I could have had failures. Right? So I totally acknowledge the fact that you can try and fail, but you gotta try, right? Because otherwise you're wasting your life, in my opinion. You've got, and if you're an entrepreneur, I think you have that drive inside. People here know what I'm talking about, I think, right? It's if you are a true entrepreneur, you gotta go for it because there's no other way to live. And so that would be my party charge.
Excellent. All right, well, that's it for my interview of Andy. Give it up for Andy.